And good evening to you and welcome back. Our election coverage continues tonight with Dr. Brooke Miller, a political science professor at Middle Georgia State University. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the night tonight.
Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about the presidential race. How important is Georgia in this race? And I also want to ask you, will Georgia go, in your opinion, for Trump or Biden?
Right now, it looks like Trump is probably going to take Georgia. It's kind of indicative of what we saw in 2016. It went for Trump as well. And it's very important to note that Georgia has gone for Republicans since 1992. In 1992, Georgia went for Bill Clinton, and that was the last time that Georgia actually went for a Democratic presidential candidate.
All right, well, at the top of the show, the numbers look really close. Do you feel like we will have the results here in Georgia by tonight?
I don't know that we're going to have all the results. I think we'll have a feeling as to who's ahead, but it looks like votes are still coming in. It looks like some counties are still counting. I haven't really seen a lot of counties with 100%, just everything completely in. There are some out there, but we've still got some stragglers, so it'll probably be tomorrow, but I think we'll have an idea.
All right, we talked a little bit in the beginning. We saw Biden with that really strong lead, and then we saw President Trump take the lead here in Georgia. Why is that?
It just has to do with the vote counts. Basically, the Democratic Party really focuses on mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, making sure that they are able to get their people to the polls, whereas the Republican Party focuses more on advance voting and Election Day voting. That's kind of their bread and butter, is to make sure their people get to the polls on Election Day.
All right, I also want to talk about the U.S. Senate race here in Georgia. We've already announced that it's going to be a runoff between Loeffler and also Warnock. Now, you said this happened because Republicans broke a cardinal rule. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, this one goes all the way back to Reagan, and then it was even reinforced by Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House from Georgia. And he always said that there should be no infighting, that if you're Republican, you're Republican, and if you're Democrat, you're Democrat, and you put the party first. And it's very clear in this case that with two candidates on the ballot, they split that vote, and so nobody was able to secure that majority.
All right, and when we look at going back to the presidential race and looking across the nation tonight, we're starting to see some states called for President Trump or Joe Biden. Were there any surprises or upsets so far tonight?
You know, it's just different in terms of the states that we're looking at. Traditionally, you look at the battleground states like Ohio. They're typically our predictor state, and they're really not what most of the news is covering tonight. And if you look at Ohio, they're just basically saying that it's too close to call. Instead, they're looking primarily at states like Georgia. They're looking at Texas. They're looking at Florida. It's kind of this idea that there was going to be a blue wave across these safe Republican states, and it just hasn't quite turned out that way, at least not yet. We're still looking at votes coming in, but right now Trump has a lead in most of those states. As for Ohio and Pennsylvania, we haven't really seen them focus that much on there. We've seen Ohio mentioned, again, too close to call, but votes are still coming in. So we'll have some idea tonight, but probably finalized tomorrow.
All right, and I thought Florida would take a while, but it was actually pretty fast.
It was very fast. I think it was a little unexpected. I definitely didn't expect it to come in quite this quickly, but it looks like Trump's got the lead. It is fairly substantial, but if you look back at 2016, he really didn't beat Hillary Clinton by a large amount there either. So it's probably going to be pretty close.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your input tonight as we continue our election coverage on some very key races. Now let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Cecilia Reeves with a look outside tonight.